Okay, I'm at it again here. I'm feeling like, Chuck the repair guy, not on computers, but on motors. So this is the fuel line. As you can see, this fuel line has had better days, and it was actually popping out of this hole over here. So this popped out, gas started to leak. This is a Homelite, I think it's 2002 trimmer that we've had for several years and had zero problems with it. I mean, like zero problems. And all we have to do is replace this fuel line. What we're going to do is use this little tune-up kit, and we are going to take the tank off, take the carburetor off. You can see I've already taken the cap off. The cap is right here. And pull these two screws out, take the carburetor off, put the new line in with a fuel filter, and repair this trimmer. Got to remember, by the way, that the stop button or the kill switch is wired. You can see that's hardwired onto that. So you just got to be careful when you pull it off. You may have to unscrew it to get to the carburetor, which is right there. Okay, here's another look at it with the cap off. Remember, this piece used to snap onto over here, where you have your 1, 2, 3, your choke, and your stop button. Stop button's right here. Okay, so you got your carb here. Mine looks super duper clean, especially for being, what, 18 years old? That's insane, right? 2002 model. Just going to pull this off, and then I'm going to take these 4 screws off, which will take the tank out, which will let me change these 2 tubes. One tube, this goes in and primes, and then this one comes back into the tank. So this, you push the button like 8 times before you pull and start to get gas in the carburetor and gas in the engine, and then this forces gas back in here. This is your primer part. All right. Okay, now that we've removed these 4 screws that used to be here with this plate used to be here, and that used to sit up like this. Right, so that used to sit like that. We remove the plate. You can actually see the piston in here, which is kind of cool. You don't really get to see that a lot in engines. And we're going to take this tank out. So this tank is held by these 2 little stands, and you can see right there. And then we also have our line, so we're going to pull this out completely. I'm not sure if I can do this one-handed while recording. We're going to pull this out, clean this up, and then we're going to switch these lines here. Remember, we have this kit over here to help us with some new fuel lines and a fuel filter. And we should be able to get this fixed and ready in a quick second. Okay, this is something interesting to see. We got the fuel thing here, the fuel tank off the actual trimmer. And then when I look inside, there is the old fuel filter. And let's empty this out. You can see right here that this is where the line broke, right, where it just gave out, and it's over here as well. This is where it used to connect, and this is the old fuel filter. Never changed this at all, and you can see it's dirty, but it did its job. So let's go ahead and replace this with the fuel filter in that pack, put all this back together, and start trimming the grass again. Okay, this is the only part that's going to be a little tricky on this. You have this wire. You see this wire? It goes through the top of the tank. You want to make sure that you're doing this on the fuel line, actually. And I see I have this on the return line, so I'm going to have to redo this. But you're going to have to stick the wire through, and then you're going to have to hook it actually into the tapered part of the fuel line. And you want to make sure that you also attach, I don't know if you can see this, the fuel filter and the little spring. And then you're going to pull this line, and then this is going to actually pull the rest of, let me unhook it here. And this is kind of hard doing this with one hand, sorry about this. But this is going to pull the fuel line through the tank and up the hole, and then you can, reattach it to the carburetor, because I'm going to take these old black hoses off. Okay, this is what it should look like. It does take a little while, not a little while, maybe a minute or two, but you got to pull this tube through, make sure it's the tapered end. Once again, the tapered end is critical. And make sure you have it in the right hole, and then you're going to pull this fuel filter. I attach the fuel filter and the spring on it. And we're gonna pull this through, and it's gonna go through all the way till about halfway, and then we're going to connect the other tube in, put the other tube in, and then we're going to connect this back to the trimmer. But as I pull this will go through, and it's going to stop about halfway, and then we'll trim the line accordingly as we connect it back to the carburetor. Okay, here's a closer look at the carb. Pulled it off. I had to do it to get these hoses off. I had to use pliers. This is my intake line. That's my return line. Your model may vary. I may put the new primer bulb on since it came with one. Mine's going to go back on this way. This is the throttle here. You'll be able to, right there, that little piece that moves. You'll be able to reconnect it to this throttle line very easily. You can just do a couple tests and figure out which hole it was in, or take a picture and look at the hole before you pull it off. But this is almost done, so I'm going to reattach this tank. You can see I have my hose already through it, so I just need to trim it to specification. Inside there is the new fuel filter, so we are almost done. Okay, here we go. So this is the old bulb, that's the new bulb, so this we can get rid of. We also have the return line, which is yellow, and the feed line, which is clear. Everything's back in the tank. You can see I reassembled everything, did a little cleanup while I was doing it, and now we're just going to test it out. But right now, it looks like everything is reassembled, and we're going to start this bad boy up. Oh, by the way, you got to make sure that you get the right hole here, and you can test that out. So as you pull, whoops, the right hole for this throttle, as you test it out, you can pull the handle and watch it go back and forth. You want to make sure it's fully extended. That's it. Real simple repair.